Hello everybody, I'm Steven, and today I'll be reviewing The Boys Season 2, Episode 8, What I Know. It's the season finale, everybody, and this was a great finale. It was action-packed, there was lots of blood, there was a really good fight scene. We get to see quite a few powers being used in this episode. And there's like a big death and a big reveal towards the end. This will be a spoiler review, so if you haven't seen this episode, I encourage you to go watch it first and then come back. We'll be getting into the spoilers in 3, 2, 1. This episode opens up with a school safety video for school students telling them what to do in case of a supervillain attack. The video is led by Homelander, and they talk about lock, arm, and wait. Lock the doors and windows, arm yourselves, and wait for a superhero to come save you. Is what the video is about. So I thought that was kind of a neat thing to do, because they tell you in the video that it's more, it's becoming more likely that a villain might come and attack you, and in schools. So then we go to the President of the United States has basically declared a national emergency and wants Compound V in circulation. Grace and Senator Newman are talking to, I'm not sure who it was, another congressman who was, going to be going to a press conference, and Grace threatens him, and he says, go ahead, release a, tape of whatever you have. But unless you find another witness or proof that Vought is the one behind all the, like the heads exploding, the attacks, then there's nothing we can do. And then we cut to see Becca escaping the compound that Vought was holding her and Ryan in. So she goes through a storm drain, takes off, goes to the pawn shop where the boys' hideout is, asking for Billy. So her and Billy meet up, and they decide to get her son back. And in the meantime, you have, and even before that, you have the boys getting ready to go to war with Homelander and all them. They're arming themselves with weapons, to take out the Supes. And Starlight and Huey are like, give us a day, let's see if we can get another witness or, proof of Vought's wrongdoings to see if we can take him down, because Huey's not on board with it. He doesn't think the fighting is going to solve anything. It's not going to stop Vought or take them down. So they give him a day to go and do what they need to do. And, that's when they decide to help Becca get Ryan back. And so Starlight and Huey go see Maeve. Starlight wants her to testify against Vought and help them take him down. Maeve is really, upset and tired, and she tells Starlight that. She's like, hey, I'm tired. None of this is going to make a difference. It's not going to change anything. So, just leave. So they leave. They can't get Maeve on board. And then we see Edgar visit the Church of the Collective. Edgar is willing to take the Deep back, but not A-Train, because of the problems between him and Stormfront. And of course, A-Train is spying on this meeting and gets upset about it and says, that's not going to work for him. And then we see Homelander, Stormfront go to Vought and take Ryan out to the Vought restaurant. Now, this is like one of the first times that Ryan's been out among a lot of people, and he's not in control of his powers yet. So he starts getting overwhelmed, and then, they take Ryan away. Homelander and Stormfront fly him up to a cabin, and they try to teach him, really kind of how to use his powers. And then A-Train, of course, finds Starlight and Huey, and he gives them both a document for that talks about Stormfront, where she's a Nazi. It shows her all the pictures of her when she was born, you know, and standing in front of the Yahtzee flag, and who she was married to, the original founder of VAT. And he takes off, and Billy promises Becca that he'll help her get Ryan back. And then he goes and meets Edgar for like a luncheon, and they come to an agreement where Billy is going to get Ryan away from Homelander, and Va is going to take him away. And Billy wants Becca to stay with him, so they end up agreeing that Vought will just take the kid and Becca will stay with Billy Butcher. And, you know, nobody else knows about it, so he's got a phone that he's going to use to call him. And then we cut back to the cabin, and Ryan and Homelander end up having a moment where Ryan says he's sorry that he got overwhelmed, and Homelander tells him that he had to learn how to use his powers all by himself. That there was nobody there to teach him, because they never, you know, nobody knew about his powers and what they exactly were, so he had to learn. And he even tells him about where he got overwhelmed one time and went and flew away, and then, you know, they found him crying. So that was a nice moment between them. So it really kind of shows that Homelander's not, you know, fully broken. So, you know, then they're trying to teach Ryan how to use his powers, but he's not picking it up. So then we have Stormfront talk to him about how people are judging them based off the color of their skin, and that they're in a war, and that he's going to have to help them out. And Homelander looks at her like, why are you telling my son this type of stuff? He gives her that look like, what? And so again, that's another moment where you see he's kind of on the edge. You know, he's definitely crazy, really psychotic guy, but, you know, he's trying to do right by, you know, Ryan at least. And Stormfront's not, you know, she's trying to get him to believe what she does. And then we go to the boys putting this big disruptor together. It's just like a sound disruptor, and they activate it and lure Homelander away from the cabin. But actually, even before that, just to rewind, Stormfront gets a text message basically telling her that somebody leaked documents of her to the press, and then the press goes and runs with the whole that she's a Yahtzee and she's like over 100 years old. So she gets mad and flies away. And then that's where we cut to Billy and the gang using the sound disruptor to lure Homelander away, and Billy and Becca go and get Ryan out. So they go back to the cars, and this is where Butcher turns around and tells Mother's Milk to take Becca and Ryan and get out of there. You know, he's the only one that they trust with them. And Becca's like, wait, what? You're not coming with us? And he's like, no. He's like, I made a deal with Vought to take Ryan away from you and, you know, keep you with me, basically. And she's like, huh? He's like, but I couldn't go through with it. So, you know, he's like, I couldn't go through with it. And then we cut to where we see Vought go in to get Ryan from Butcher, and that's when Homelander comes back and starts killing them, asking them where his son is, because he sees the devices that were used have the Vought logo on them. So he's like basically just killing these guys left and right, and when he comes out of the cabin, he has blood all over him. So he definitely got up and personal with, you know, ripping these guys apart instead of just blasting them as well. So Mother's Milk takes off with Ryan and Becca, while Billy is there really to try to buy them time, and Stormfront shows up. She blasts the car, and then confronts Starlight for leaking the photos and saying that they're all lies, and people aren't really going to believe it. And that's when Kimiko and Starlight start fighting her, and then we see Stormfront snap Kimiko's neck and start to overpower Starlight. Starlight really hasn't been trained in fighting and isn't as old, as Stormfront, so she's a little bit better at fighting than Starlight is. And then when you just think, things you can't get any better, we see Maeve. Maeve ends up coming in to help Starlight out, and of course Frenchie is like, we need to get the anti-Stormfront rocket so we can stop her, and she blows up all the cars, including the one with that in there. So I was kind of like, why would you scream that out loud? She can hear you. And then as Starlight and Maeve are overpowering Stormfront, we see Kimiko come back to life. Like, she puts her neck back together, and then all three of them gang up on her and start beating her up. And then she ends up, getting away from them to find Billy and Becca and Ryan, so she can get Ryan back and pretty much kill those guys. And then we cut back to everybody just looking around like, oh, what the heck, And Starlight's like, hey, thank you, Maeve, for coming. She's like, yeah, she's like that Yahtzee. So I thought that was kind of cool that they, the girls got their turn to beat up, to get in a fight and actually show what they can do, especially if they work together. And then Stormfront finds Becca, Ryan, and Butcher, and Becca ends up stabbing her in the right eye. And she, rips out the knife and starts choking Becca to death. And of course she uses her line, look at me, I want to see the light drain from your eyes. And I just kind of chuckled. And then you see, Butcher's trying to get her off of Becca, and Ryan's eyes start lighting up red, and he's yelling at her to stop hurting his mother. And then all of a sudden you see this big bright flash, and after the flash, we end up seeing Butcher get up, look at Becca. Becca's hurt, and then we cut to Stormfront, who's on the ground with her skin ripped off, and she has no arms and legs, basically, like Anakin from the Revenge of the Sith. So I thought that was kind of a cool little thing that they showed. And Billy runs over to Becca, and she's dying, and she says, tell Ryan it's not his fault, and promise me you'll look after him. So Billy promises that he'd look after her, or look after Ryan. And Ryan's, he's like, I'm sorry. And this is where we kind of see where Butcher looks like he wants to hurt Ryan because Becca ends up dying in his arms. But Homelander turns up and sees Stormfront, who barely has a body anymore. And he asks Ryan to come and join him, but Ryan goes over to Billy instead, and this is where Homelander's like, you're gonna, take care of the kid who just killed your wife? And he's like, I promised. So Homelander's like, he's mine, like it's his property. And then all of a sudden we see Maeve show up, and Maeve is like, hey, you're gonna let them go. And if you don't, I'm going to release the video of the airplane that we let crash and everybody die on. And she shows him the video on her phone. And she also tells Homelander that he's going to leave her and Elena alone. So he pretty much is like super mad. But he agrees to it. And then we cut, to basically Billy and Ryan are talking after Ryan, calms down. and they're waiting for Grace to come. And he gives Ryan a necklace that was his mother's, and said that his mother will be there now to protect him. And and then Grace picks Ryan up and in blacked out government cars, and Billy warns her that Vought is going to want him back because he's basically the contingency plan for stopping Homelander if anything ever happens. So she's like, yeah, we'll take care of him, and Billy walks away. So then we're coming to the end of the episode, and we see Homelander up on some kind of rooftop, and he's wanking. He's just whacking off, sitting there being like, and this is the funniest line, because he's super frustrated. You can look at it, you can see it in his face, and as he's doing this, he's like, I can do whatever I want, and he just keeps repeating it. I was like, what? And then they pan out, and he's just got his head back, and his eyes are all red, and he's just whacking it off. And I'm like, oh man, I was like, that is so great. He is so mad at everybody right now, and he really can't do anything without video getting released, because he doesn't want people to know that he didn't save anybody, and what kind of person he really is. So I thought that was pretty funny. And then we end up coming to Alistair, who is on the phone with Senator Newman, and he's talking about how he helped her stop Vought from releasing Compound V, and if she can help him by getting his tax exempt for the church pushed through faster. So she agrees, and then says, when can we meet? And he's like, oh, we'll have our people call each other, and we'll set up a time. And as soon as he gets off the phone, he smiles and leans back, and all of a sudden, boom, his head explodes. And I was just like, wait, what? I was like, what? I thought the person who was doing that was with the church, maybe, but that was a great twist, because I was like, what the heck just happened? His head exploded. And then we pan out for the big reveal of who the person is that's able to make people's heads explode. And it's none other than Congresswoman Newman. Senator, I said senator, I'm sorry, it's Congresswoman Newman, I believe. But yeah, so she's the one who's popping people's heads, making them explode. And I kind of had mixed feelings about it. I was like, it's cool, but at the same time, it's like, why her? Why not make it somebody that you really don't expect, or even leave it for next season? You know what I mean? Like, that probably would have been a better cliffhanger if they had left that reveal for next season. But it was such a great scene. Because you see her eyes cloud over, and then she walks away. And I was just like, wait, what? I was like, I never saw it coming. Because you never see her really do anything throughout the episodes. But apparently, if you do go back and watch episode 7, where they are at the Congress hearing, she does look at the people whose heads explode. So, but you can't tell, she's just looking, and she's all shocked looking at it. But I guess there's some subtle moments in that where you kind of start thinking, it's got to be somebody in the room. But yeah, that whole thing was a huge reveal. I was pretty surprised, because I didn't see it coming with her. I thought she was a good guy, basically. She seemed like she was on the up and up trying to stop Vought, but I mean, who knows? Who knows what her agenda is at this point? We'll have to wait for season 3 to find out. So this was a really good episode. This season has had its ups and downs. Some of the episodes were not that good to me, personally. Some of the writing wasn't really that great as well. There were, again, episodes that weren't really written well. Some of the dialogue in the episodes really wasn't that great. But overall, the whole season was good. in general, minus those couple, two or three episodes. But it had twists and it had a lot of action in it, which was great. I do like how they were filming the Dawn of the Seven movie. That whole thing was a good part in this whole season. And like I said, Becca's death was a huge moment for Billy. So we'll have to wait and find out how that affects him for season 3. The big reveal of the villain going around exploding heads was a great touch for this episode. And now we just got to wait for season 3 and where that takes us. I honestly would give this episode an 8 or a 9 out of 10. It was a great finale for the boys. It really reminded me of season 1's finale, but season 1's finale had way more of a cliffhanger, which I thought was absolutely amazing. If you like what I do, please hit the like button and subscribe button, as I'll be doing more content each week for gameplays, reviews, things like that. Everybody take care for now. Bye.